Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moeedin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Now, it saddens me to sit in front of you today to bring you some more bad news. So, as you know, last night, Twitter, social media, the news agencies all across the country went into a frenzy. And that's because of a specific article that was posted about CSA being in trouble once again. Now, I'm going to read you an article on Espncricinfo by Firdose Moonda, a very respected journalist in South Africa and in the world. Cricket South Africa's board and senior executives, including acting CEO Kagandri Govender, have been instructed to step aside by the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee, which is the controlling body for all high-performance sports in South Africa. SASCOC will now appoint a task team to conduct an investigation into the affairs at CSA. The panel will make findings and recommendations to SASCOC and CSA's Members' Council within 1 month of the finalization of the members of the task team. Along with Governor, Company Secretary Welsh Gwaza and Acting Chief Commercial Officer Tami Mtembu will no longer be involved in the day-to-day running of CSA. That means that as things stand on Thursday evening, there is no one in charge of the operational running of cricket in South Africa. Now, this is quite shocking news for all of us to hear, that CSA are once again in a difficult situation. After this article came to fruition, CSA has since sent out a press release to explain what is currently going on. CSA had this to say in their media release. Cricket South Africa has received the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee's communication pertaining to various resolutions which SASCOC has passed in relation to CSA. CSA, including the Members' Council, does not agree with the resolution taken by SASCOC and has not had the opportunity to engage with SASCOC on various issues raised in the communication. In addition, CSA is taking legal advice regarding the basis on which SASCOC has sought to intervene in the business affairs of Cricket South Africa. CSA does, however, commit to engaging further with SASCOC to understand its position and to find a common ground within the best interests of cricket. The Members' Council and the directors of the board of CSA will hold a joint workshop this weekend to discuss critical matters. So to get more context on everything that is happening, I thought the best thing to do was to have a conversation with Firdose and see her perspective on everything that is happening. Her experience in the field will be able to give us some amazing insights as fans to understand what is really going on in this industry. So here's my interview with Firdose Moonda. So Firdose, there's a lot that's happened so far, and I think that you could give a perfect perspective on everything to the fans, because I think there's some misunderstandings of what's happening. So can you maybe this summarize the main points of what actually happened yesterday and obviously over this period of 24 hours now?
Yeah, so pretty much what has happened is that SASCOC have used its powers as the governing body of sport in the country, to which it has member federations that operate under its umbrella, to step into Cricket South Africa and to instruct the board and the executive to stand aside while SASCOC puts together a task team that will then investigate CSA's governance and administrative and financial issues. CSA have said they don't agree with this decision and they are taking legal advice. So they haven't gone to court yet. There's no interdict yet, but they are taking legal advice on how to respond to SASCOC. So really at the moment, CSA's executive and board are still in place. They are still running Cricket South Africa. SASCOC is fairly adamant that they will use these step-in rights. It's also fairly adamant that the step-in rights don't contravene the ICC's code of conduct, which is against government interference in cricket. Now, just because SASCOC say that's the case doesn't mean that is the case. We know from last year when Zimbabwe Sports and Recreation Commission did pretty much the same thing to the Zimbabwe Cricket Board, it was considered government interference. So we're in a situation now of wait and see. We have to wait for the ICC to do something. We have to wait to see if the CSA board and executive really do step aside or if there's an interdict preventing SASCOC from taking this action. And we're kind of in limbo at the moment.
Yeah. Maybe you can give some insight into what actually would happen if the government gets involved. So we know what happened with Zimbabwe 3 years ago. what actually will happen if the government does get involved?
So the ICC will then review what would be a complaint against government interference. And they would then have to look at whether whatever involvement the government has had is considered to breach its code. And I think it's very important to have a disclaimer here to say that there's several ICC member countries where the similar argument could be made. For example, in Pakistan, the head of the country is also patron of the cricket board. And so that could be considered government interference. The BCCI have gone on record saying that they will take government advice about whether they should or shouldn't play Pakistan. In Sri Lanka, the sports ministry signs off on national team selection. So all these things could be considered government interference, and they have not attracted bans for these countries from the ICC. So there's every possibility the ICC will look at the situation and will then consider that South Africa is still a fairly important full member country and nothing will happen. Or the ICC will look at the situation and decide that this government interference does breach the code of conduct and maybe say South Africa is not that important as a member country and potentially South Africa could be banned. I think it would really hinge on how the ICC interprets government interference and also the level of what the government does to interfere. Because even if we think about what SASCOC is, which is that it is a legislatively formed body, SASCOC comes because the country wrote a law saying we will have an organization called SASCOC. Yeah. Technically, theoretically, it could be government interference. Anyway, the fact that such a body even exists. So you need a lot of clever lawyers to start talking about this.
Yeah. So your perspective on this, how do we move forward from this? There is this consensus that maybe a reset is what South Africa needs right now with everything that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's the million-dollar question, is what needs to happen now. I think from a very practical perspective, what has become obvious over the last few weeks is that Cricket South Africa will be compelled to releasing the forensic report, which resulted in them firing Thabang Maroe, and which contains other information that we don't know the details of. I think that is the only way that things can start to move one way or another. When the contents of that forensic report is made known to people, then I suppose whether there's other action that needs to be taken depending on what the report says will then need to be considered. But I think we're kind of stuck if we're in a situation where the forensic report doesn't get made public and doesn't get shown to the sports ministry, doesn't get shown to SASCOC, doesn't even get shown to CSA's own members council without a non-disclosure agreement. Then we can't really move anywhere because then things are not happening. Then we can't have an AGM, we can't, so that is probably step one right now. But then kind of there's so many other things that need to happen in that CSA need money. They need a sponsor for the Mzansi Super League. They need a broadcast partner. They need to get cricket going. Sure, the borders are closed and international teams can't come and our teams can't go at the moment. But we don't even have an indication of when franchise cricket will start. So we're really in a bad way. And, I've said this a few times and I want to say it again, that I think this is the lowest ebb for South African cricket. It's the worst we've ever seen it. And I'm very, very concerned about the future of the game. This is the turning point, and things could either turn around from here or we could end up with no game.
Is there a positive message you can leave the fans with, just so that they can remain with some hope?
Well, I don't actually know, to be honest. I mean, perhaps the positive message is that there are 10 Protea men's players and 7 Protea women's players in the IPL and the WBBL. And so if you really want to see some South African cricketers in action, you can watch them on television, I suppose. I guess, maybe if we really are talking seriously, Cricket South Africa yesterday announced a high-performance management team, which included Neil McKenzie and Vincent Barnes and Shukri Conrad. And so it seems to me that what's happening under Graeme Smith's portfolio as director of cricket is that he's forming almost like a family tree of coaches and we can't even use the word consultant anymore because there's an issue with that, of coaching staff and people who are going to work with players. And that looks fairly positive. I mean, they need players to work with and they need games to be working towards. But it does seem like they're building up some nice structures and getting some decent people involved. So maybe that's a positive. But we're clutching at straws here, I'm afraid. And I know that part of your message is really to promote the game. And I think that's where our focus should be, is on the fact that if things continue like this, we're not going to have a game to promote. Yeah. And so, this is a desperate situation and we really need things to change.
So guys, I hope you got a little bit more of an understanding of everything that is happening. It's really sad times in South African cricket, but I urge all fans to stay strong because we are the people that are going to hold this game together. We are the guys and girls that are going to keep this game flourishing. So support the Proteas, support the players who are really, I feel, are the main people that are going to be impacted by everything that is happening. It's really unfair that they have to be impacted so terribly by everything that's happening. They should be able to just focus on their cricket and play the game that we all love and entertain us all. So support everybody in the industry, support us all, support the cricketers, and stand by your fellow cricketers and your fans and the sport in general. I hope this sums up everything that you needed to know about this particular topic. So, and I hope that I did my job in conveying the story as best as possible. So guys, what I need you to do next, of course, is to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the notification bell. Also, don't forget to share the story with everybody so we can get the right messages across the world about what is happening in South African cricket currently. Don't forget to download the latest issue of the magazine. We've got 3 issues available. The last issue is on Vision 2023. So subscribe to the magazine by clicking the link on the screen or clicking on the link in the description. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.